My name is Máirín Duffy. As Esther said, I have 20 years experience in the open source community. I also come from a UX design background, and I'm here to talk to you today about AI. I am the engineering leader and distinguished engineer in charge of the InstructLab project. That is an upstream open source project around enabling users to be able to customize models. And I think that my UX design background is going to shine through in this talk. When you come from a UX design background, you think primarily about the humans and how they are impacted by technology, and I think that that is something that we really need to focus more on in any discussions about AI. So there's some lost questions in the current framing of the conversation of AI. There's a lot of attention paid to incremental improvements and innovations. There was a model of the week that came out earlier this week. I like to refer to them as models of the week because they keep coming out and there's always a big buzz about them. That model came out after my slide submission deadline, so I will not focus too much on it today. But you know, as Adriana and Amandine pointed out in the last panel, there's a lot of focus on these new innovations and this new thing that's coming out. But what about sort of some of the bigger questions, like how do we keep this thing running? How do we keep it sustainable? Or even in the case of AI, how do we keep it ethical? How do we keep it as something that brings value to human life rather than just always focusing on the shiny, shiny? So I do think the model of the week model is a little bit of a distraction. So some of the more important questions I think we should be asking about the usage of AI: where is the computation taking place? I submit my question to this chatbot, but where is things I'm typing going? Is it being stored? What's happening to it? What are the resource requirements? I saw somewhere recently an estimate that every query to a certain popular chatbot, that it costs a certain, like a water bottle to cool the machinery in order to serve that query. How is the data protected when data is used to pre-train models, when it's used to tune models, when it's submitted at inference time? How is that data protected? Is the data used to train the models transparent, representative, unbiased, and ethically sourced? What is the human cost of that data? And I think the most important question: what is the social contract for AI with global society? It is great to focus on improving size, speed, performance, but we also have to think about how does this technology impact human life? How does it impact society? And I think this is where open source is uniquely positioned to enter the conversation in AI, to be involved in AI, to help us with this transition. Open source software gives users agency in the software that they must use. You're not beholden to, oh, well, there's a proprietary vendor, there's a bug in this software, what can I do? I have to wait on the vendor. You have the agency to go and fix it for yourself and also contribute that to others. We need to be looking at AI in the same way. So one of the things that my project has been focused on, and a few of us has focused on from some time ago that is becoming more readily apparent every day, is that bigger is not always better when it comes to AI models. The past year and a half has actually a lot of amazing stories about small open source LLM innovation. These smaller right-sized LLMs actually can compete performance-wise with much larger, richly resourced LLMs that are outsized in both scale and price. Small models are not just available at enterprise scale. You can use them in Gen AI apps at the edge. You can use them on the desktop or laptops for developers, and you can also use them in mobile applications. So there's a massive opportunity here. This approach to LLMs, doing a small task incredibly well with a smaller total cost of ownership and lower environmental and social costs. The EU AI Act aims to assist startups and medium-sized enterprises in order to develop and train AI models. That will assist in the democratization of infrastructure access and access to AI expertise. This will allow the best solutions to enter the market. Europe can capitalize on the small purpose AI model boom, but there are two things needed, one of which was just discussed in the previous panel. We need investment in common EU infrastructure. We also need a strong commitment to open for the EU in this space. So let's talk about citizen-centric AI. Citizen-centric AI, I think there's a few dimensions that we need to think about. Citizen-centric AI should be open. I am impressed by the EU's decade-plus default to open policy approach for the global commons. This has been key to empowering the EU and its constituent member states to invest in open source solutions. Now, the meaning of open source AI is something that is evolving. It is an open, active discussion. However that lands, I believe that open source LLMs will play a role in enabling sovereign AI solutions. You should be able to run these solutions whenever, wherever you need them, seamlessly between cloud and on-premise. This is a future-proof investment, and it's using the open hybrid approach that we've already been using in cloud computing for years that needs to be applied to AI. Secondly, citizen-centric AI is resilient and reversible. You should be able to route around failure and control your own destiny. So when you use open technology, you increase your choices. Now, there's a forthcoming EU Cloud and AI Development Act that's expected by the end of this year, and I'm very hopeful that open will be core to building policies such as this in the EU. Thirdly, citizen-centric AI removes barriers for citizens to shape it. There is a high barrier for entry. That barrier for entry has two dimensions. It is the technical gap, the skills gap, and then the gap for access to infrastructure. So for lowering that technical gap, the skills gap, the project that I work on in InstructLab is working towards that. We're looking at expanding both the amount of hardware needed, lowering the amount of hardware needed to experiment, learn, and play with generative AI to customize models with your own data for your own usages. We're also looking at removing some of the barriers to entry in terms of the skill set needed. So we're trying to make it very approachable, very easy. There's other projects at play too. The EU-funded Skills Sync via the European Institute for Innovation and Technology AI program is a wonderful way as well to approach lowering the skills gap for getting involved in AI technology. And as Astor pointed out in his opening notes, we want to empower citizens not just to consume here. They need to be able to shape and influence AI, and they should become co-creators. Finally, citizen-centric AI must be shaped by citizens themselves. It's not a technical issue, it's a social question. This can be addressed through open collaboration and innovation. They should be able to build upon and make use of this technology for their own benefit, the benefit of the global commons, and the benefit of improving the state of the art. So this isn't new. We've done this before. There's a lot of people I admire from the open source community that are here that I think none of this is surprising. We've been here before with open source software. Open innovation is part of humanity's infrastructure, and it must be secured through investment of capital and mindshare to drive towards good for a global commons. So these are all lofty, noble goals, but if you walk away from this keynote today, the one thing that I want you to take away from, the one thing I'd like you to think about, what can AI do to help people build things that they find truly valuable? From my personal side, my grandparents were Irish immigrants to the US. I'm actually the admin of a Carrick-MacCross genealogy group, and this group, we actually help a lot of folks trying to find their roots, try to find where their family came from. The Irish government has published a lot of open data sets that have genealogical records, civil records, baptismal records. They are very hard to navigate. So we answer a lot of questions that are common and we see the patterns. So one of the things I'm trying to personally do to use AI to sort of help people trace their roots is building a custom LLM using InstructLab to help these folks navigate all of these databases. One of my dear friends is also looking at using this technology to build AI-enabled apps to help blind people navigate a world that is not built for them. There's a lot of human stories out there of people trying to take this technology to impact society positively, and we need to be able to empower these. So in summary, when we democratize access to shape and create AI, we enable citizens to have agency. They should be able to do things with AI that matter to them. AI is just a tool in the toolbox. It's not the only point. And the public and private sector have unprecedented opportunity and responsibility to support a new generation of academics, scientists, creators, and citizens. To navigate this AI technology transition and technological disruption, we need to cherish the best of what we've learned for our past, but also apply open collaboration and shared creation. And I am delighted to travel on this journey with you.